Welcome back, listeners, to the BizBlend podcast, where business meets consciousness in a 20-minute brew of insights, mindset, and real talk. I'm your host, Sana, and today we are diving into the fascinating world of how our internal narratives, shaped by our multiple brains, can drive, derail, or completely rewire the way we lead, work, and connect. And joining me today is a guest who brings the science behind the story. Listeners, meet Dr. Carlos Davidovich, a medical doctor, TEDx speaker, and international executive coach. Carlos blends neuroscience with leadership in a way that's both practical and profound. He's also the author of Five Brain Leadership and Personality DNA, two books that challenge traditional thinking and invite us to truly understand what makes us tick. So, whether you are leading a team or leading your own transformation, this episode is for you. So, with that, let's get quickly started. So, Dr. Carlos, welcome to the show, and it is such an honor to have you with us.
It's my honor to be here, Sana. Thanks a lot for your invitation. I'm delighted to be here.
That's beautiful. Okay, before we start talking about the topic, when I was reading through your intro, your model, it introduces five brains. You are the author of Five Brain Leadership. So what exactly, what do you mean by brain here? Is it like the biological brain or kind of the soul of the brain here? And also how exactly all these brains influence our internal narratives?
I love your question, Sana. First of all, and I want to clarify from the beginning, this is a metaphor. We are one being all together and very intertwined. So all our pieces that constitute ourselves are completely connected, interconnected, intertwined, and they work together. That's just to start from. I mean, the model or the metaphor of these five brains is to represent, or to identify easily the different narratives that we have inside of us. Because based on evolution, we were gaining more brains, let's put it that way, or evolving our brain, but each stage had a completely different function, different narrative, different purpose, and therefore different outcomes. And that's the idea. To know, I like to refer that to be a good leader, we need to start leading our internal team properly. It's like having an internal team of five members that they speak completely different languages. And we need to become expert on how to recognize and identify all these different languages and to decide and how which one will be in charge, and because in the end we are responsible of our internal team, and the knowing who is talking and not giving too much power, or giving the power away, that will take us to the right place regarding communication, regarding productivity, regarding efficiency, so regarding our external life.
Hmm, that is so interesting. That is so interesting, Dr. Carlos. And what exactly, what was your journey like? What exactly motivated you to, share your experiences and this model of five brain leadership and also personality DNA in both of your books?
I mean, to be honest, was the flow of life, let's say. So many times, you are in a situation that not exactly you plan it, but in the end is where you need to be. And I'm MD, I'm medical doctor, and I worked as a medical doctor for many years. And then I had experience in business as an executive in pharma business. So in one moment, I understood that those two worlds could be connected. So and I start seeing that the main, I would say, challenge for leaders, for people in general, but let's talk about companies, business, and for leaders, was not to understand the market only, that's a challenge by itself, is to understand how to deal with that market. And the way to deal starts for understanding who you are and your personality characteristics. I mean, we are not all the same. I mean, we have different, I will say, style of express ourselves. And it's good to know. It's not that we can change. Don't get me wrong. I don't like when I read article or some book about that all of us we can do the same thing. I don't believe on that. I think that you need to do what you are able to do, or and all of us. I'm convinced about this. All of us we have our own superpowers, but we need to recognize them and also our own downsides. So recognizing and identifying them, that is what will take it to a good place, on a better place. It's not to repeat things that others are able to do. It's what I can do. And the I can do starts for knowing myself. I know it's a cliche, but today, based on all the information and technology, it's not that difficult to identify who you are and what can you do with that.
Wow. That definitely. I completely connect with that, Dr. Carlos. Completely. And of course, I mean, um, the way we react to events or environments or people or situations, it cannot be same. We are all not same. Although biologically, we are constituted of the same, materials, but in terms of our mindset and how we are wired, that is definitely, very much different. So right now, if we take this discussion in today's context, I think we are right now as an entire humanity, whether it's, business wise or economy wise or personal wise, it is inevitable to avoid, high pressure and high stress. I mean, we cannot ignore. So how exactly do our internal brain systems play a role in reinforcing or rather challenging those beliefs?
Great point. I mean, let's be mindful. We live in a VUCA world, and I'm sure about the acronym. The world today and every day is really different. What is happening this week, for instance, without commenting. So that is putting the world in a quite particular place.
Mm-hmm.
We have choices, and that is something that we need to learn or we need to accept. That will be better to say. I will bring the quote of Viktor Frankl, an psychiatrist from Austria, from Vienna, Austria, last century. And he was an amazing psychologist, psychiatrist, but he has a quote regarding attitude. I think it's the most powerful, at least I know. He used to say, absolutely anything can happen to us. So anything in talking about negative things. But whatever happens to us, we still keep the power to decide how to react to that external situation. And this is something that many times we don't keep in mind. And many times we go to a wrong place of victimization, poor me, let's say, and that is the worst place to be in our mind because it's absolutely useless. So if we understand that whatever, and what I'm saying, Sana, whatever is whatever. I mean, dramatic situation can happen in life that many of us, all of us, went through tough situation in life. The way we react, or remembering that we have the power to react in one way or the other, that makes a huge difference. So, taking into account, going back to the five brains, I need to deal with external world. I need to deal with the market. I need to deal with this, I will say, uncertain market
Mm-hmm.
outside. I can do a better or worst, but I have a team of five inside of me, and I need to know how to take the best of from each of them. That is the learning that will take me farther and to a better place.
Mm, I agree. I agree. I agree. Wow. Okay. So now, um, in your coaching, Dr. Carlos, what's a real world example, maybe one or more than one, where embracing the five brain leadership model changed someone's trajectory, personally or maybe professionally?
Wow, that's a great question. I will try to be brief, okay?
Okay.
That in a nutshell, let's define first what the characteristic of each brain. I will I will oversimplify it, but we have a very primitive one that the narrative is survival. So fight, flight, or freeze. We have a more new one. Now, okay, one is 500 million years, the other one is 200 million years. That is the emotional one. And the emotional one, we're talking about positive and negative emotions. Then we have the one that is in charge of rational thinking. That is the newbie in the block. And this is the one, due to evolution, that we trust the less. Even though we like to believe that we are rational beings, human brain is not prepared to make 100% rational decision. We can't. So the switch to action, to make an action once we arrive to conclusions for whatever challenge that we are facing, the that switch is physically located in the emotional brain. What I'm trying to say is knowing all these characteristics, knowing how each of them can help me, what are their powers, then I can lead my life in a more conscious, mindful, and effective way. If I'm a person that is very easy that my survival brain will be activated, for instance, people that are more aggressive, people that can become bullies or similar, so that has consequences. Then I need to be completely mindful that what part of me is expressing the most, because what happens in the external world depends on how I interact with the external world. So we love to blame others, right?
Yeah.
It's not about me, all the rest. Let's take that back. Step number one, whatever happens to me connected with the world, in the end, is about me and depends on me. If I can assume that full responsibility, the picture or the movie will be completely different. When we keep blaming the outside, when we keep playing victim, poor me, that is the way to I would say to hold ourselves back or to bring us to a very unproductive place. I don't know if I'm responding your question, Sana.
No, no, absolutely. You're going the right direction. And I absolutely believe, in this, that um, I guess it's naturally how our brains are wired that we often find it easy to blame everything on, maybe some other person or the circumstances or the timing or something. But, I have personally learned from many of the situations that um, it's the decisions or the mindset that we are into that kind of push us forward to make that mistake. And we often keep on blaming ourselves as well. We often keep on judging ourselves as well, and that also leads us to make or take some harsh actions as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's a question I think is that you're saying.
Yeah, I mean I'm just adding to it.
Way to face external challenges is
Mhm.
finally accepting our accountability.
Mm.
That maybe sounds like a cliche, but it's not. The consequences are high. And
Mhm.
when I say accepting accountability is to recognize my power and to stop delegating powers on others. When I play victim or poor me, or I cannot do it, or somebody else was a guilty one, I'm delegating power. Therefore, I'm not in control.
Mm.
So the combination is accountability plus accepting vulnerability. This is another concept that's important to
Yeah.
raise.
Yeah.
This is not about being perfect. This is not about being for a Wonder Woman or Superman. No, it's not about that. This is about we are vulnerable. But I am accountable. I can deal with that. At least I will try as many times as is needed. I like to highlight a new definition of vulnerability because vulnerability used to have a very negative marketing, you know. I mean,
Yes. Yes.
it was
Yeah.
a word taken in a negative way. Based on the work of certain researchers lately, remember other people, now we understand differently vulnerability. The definition of being vulnerable is about risk, uncertainty, and emotional exposure. If we understand being vulnerable with those three components, there is no way to escape. All of us, we are vulnerable all the time. Every situation is risky. We will be emotionally involved, and there is uncertainty all over the places.
Mm.
So let's stop denial what is out there and let's start facing that. Am I we able to solve everything? The answer is no. Am I able to try to find out solutions and to fight and to do some, I mean, to ask for collaboration, to ask for help? All those things I can do it, but I can do it in a proper way if I feel in a place of power. If I feel powerless, the game is over.
I agree. I agree. That definitely makes sense, Dr. Carlos. And how exactly does understanding, so there's something called as limbic brain. How exactly does understanding it help us manage conflict better, especially in leadership and life also?
The technical name of limbic brain is the emotional brain.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Emotions are located all over the body. I
Mm-hmm.
will not go there because we don't have time. The headquarter of emotions is located in the middle place of our upper brain. This is the one that has one component means it's like a sensor, it's like a radar that is sensing all the time if I'm emotionally exposed or I'm okay. Or say I'm not in danger. Based on that radar is what will happen after, or that can trigger a survival, or that sensor can say everything is okay, let's move forward. The point to raise is all these different brains cannot be activated at the same time. If my survival brain means I need to kill or I will be killed, to exaggerate a bit, is activated, the rational brain is completely deactivated. I cannot think, I cannot do a rational analysis.
Mhm.
So this is also, and these are one of the tips of why it's so important to understand the different components and personalities of our internal team. Emotions, I say the limbic is in our upper brain, but now we know, and this is not this is a fact, that our heart also has neurons, brain cells.
Yep.
And there's a lot of research proving that our heart is connected with our emotions as well. And the fifth brain, there's the gut brain, has a complete nerve system inside and is more in charge of what we call intuition, that knowledge that we have without doing a rational analysis. It's a powerful source of information. So the process is to learn how to listen to all of them and then to decide, because we should be in control, how to play how to play in the outside world with all this characteristics I have.
Wow. Wow. That's really really interesting. Really interesting. And then we often talk about how important yet how kind of ignored is the concept of having emotional intelligence specifically for leaders and managers in today's workplaces. So I think this definitely gives and throws some light on the importance of managing emotions, understanding our emotions and in a better way.
Exactly, exactly. And accepting and one the metaphor of the five brains is has also another purpose, is to show that only one, so 20%, is what we call rational brain. 80% of the inputs we receive are connected with emotions and instinct. So that is one of the main reasons that we need to learn how to deal with that part of us, because it's the most present and the most powerful. And so powerful that we can lose control because of any of them. And to keep the control, we need to understand how they play.
Hmm. Is it something like the how conscious and subconscious parts of our mind, how they are interconnected, how they interplay in helping us make decisions or react or maybe be proactive? Is it something like that, Dr. Carlos? Mm-hmm.
This to the puzzle. Uh, the truth is that we run in a non-conscious mind 90%, 95% of the time. So we run in automatic, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
That that is good because I don't need to think all the time about my heart rate or my breathing or whatever that runs in automatic. On another side, that means that all the biases and the stereotypes that my different brains were learning through millions of years will be first in line to respond to the external world. What are bringing here, it reminds me the definition of Daniel Kahneman, Nobel Prize in Economic, being a psychologist, that he defined like a system one and system two. And he says, system one, and I will tell you what it is the one who is running the show and is the one that we need to take in control. System one is reptilian brain and emotional brain, period. And all the biases and all the stereotypes are there. And that is the brain that will respond faster in automatic mode, and we always will feel that is right when many times it's not. And that's why Kahneman says, call the system two, that is slow, that you need to call it, that he said the lazy fact checker, because we need to think again many times before responding. Another good quote of Viktor Frankl is the time or the distance between the stimulus that we receive and the response that we give is what makes us human being. When it's too close, the response to the stimulus, the response came from a more primitive reaction. More time we can wait means that we can think, means that we can respond in a more proper way.
Mm. Wow, that is really really interesting, Dr. Carlos. Thank you for sharing that. Lovely, lovely. So before we wrap up, a bit of a contradictory perspective. Is there a risk of over identifying with our brain type and using it as an excuse for poor communication or ineffective leadership?
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the reasons why, I mean, the communication can go south and the leadership cannot be in place. I will add one more piece of the puzzle, if you allow me.
Yeah, please go ahead, Dr. Douglas.
Let's define what communication exactly is. Communication is not being the best version of myself. This is not communication. Communication is my ability, capacity to speak the language of the other person. That is the only way to connect in the right way. So, knowing those different personalities or characteristics is very easy to recognize. You don't need to become a psychologist. Then I know how to talk to this person. And knowing how to talk to this person means that person will listen properly. And then we can arrive to something productive. Make sense?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Great. So, of course, I think I'm very confident this conversation has sparked, an interest in all of our listeners to explore this, in deeper ways. So, if our listeners would like to connect with you, Dr. Carlos, and also get a hold of your books, your wisdom, your knowledge, how they can do that.
First of all, the easiest way is my website is www.carlosdavidovich.com or LinkedIn. LinkedIn is also, is a business platform and social media, and we are all connected through them. So you can find me in any of them. You can write me emails. You can connect me WhatsApp, whatever you want. I always like to interact. Response. I always respond to any request.
Great. I'll have all the details mentioned in the show notes. And listeners, that's a wrap on today's episode of This Blend. And Dr. Carlos, thank you. A big thank you to you for unpacking the mystery of our many brains and showing us how to lead from within. Thank you so much. And
My pleasure, really, and thanks a lot for the invitation again, Sana.
so, listeners, if this conversation shifted your perspective, share it with someone who's ready to stop managing time and start managing energy. Until next time, I'm your host, Sana, and asking you to stay curious, stay conscious, and keep blending the best of business and being human.